wanting to make this video for a while, so what better time when I'm sitting in my Jeep driving for 8.5 hours with nothing else to do and no one else to talk to because little one here doesn't talk to me. So I'm gonna make this video now. A little bit about me. So this is gonna be a lot right here in this video. I know a lot of people know, like my personal friends and everything, and plus I made a video of it, of why I started my traveling. I started my traveling basically because I just had a lot of stuff that I needed to come to terms with and deal with, and being around Mother Nature just makes me happy, and hiking and off-roading and exploring places, I'm just happy doing that. But there's a lot behind it, you know, so I'm making this video, number one, because a lot of friends, and you guys don't think that I know a lot of stuff, but I do. I know a lot of people wonder what I'm doing and everything, and you can't believe that I'm doing all this, and I started the Patreon, and how dare me ask for money for people to watch my videos and everything. Let me tell you guys, making these videos and everything, I enjoy doing it, but it is like a second job, and I'm trying to do what I love and share it with you guys. So yeah, I've made a Patreon, and I've asked for subscribers to pay a monthly fee. And I had a hard time dealing with whether I wanted to do that or not. But I'm not the only person that does it. There's tons of people that do it. So let me explain a little bit about why I'm doing everything that I'm doing. So, and I don't want any sympathy from anybody for this video after you guys watch it. But I think it's time that you guys know about me, because I've hidden a lot of things from people my whole entire life, because I've been ashamed of my whole entire life. But now, I don't care. And also, I know I've told you guys that I want to write a book eventually about my whole entire life, and hopefully it will be a self-help book for some people, because I've had a pretty shitty life my whole entire life. Since the time I came out of my mom's stomach and was born, I was dealt a shitty hand in life. And everything that I've been through, I was ashamed of it, embarrassed, tried to hide it, and I've hid it for a while. And actually, I've hidden a lot of stuff up until this moment that I'm about to share with you guys. Because, like I said, I don't care what you guys think about me anymore. I'm all about trying to help people out now and be there for other people. Like, I wish some of you guys would do that also. But that's the kind of world that we live in now. So let me tell you, when everything happened with my dad, and yes, I talk a lot about what happened with my dad because I am now an advocate for suicide. What happened with my dad was a big, huge wake-up call in my life. Huge wake-up call. I did a whole 360 with my personal life and with me. And with me starting to travel 7 months ago, I've been doing a lot of self-discovery with myself and everything, and it's been amazing. And that's why I'm making this video. So obviously what happened with my dad was a hard thing to deal with. I still deal with it every single day. Every single day I deal with it. Every day. And then losing my two closest friends right after my dad's situation, it was a lot. But all that happened, it was a total wake-up call for me. Total wake-up call. It took a while for me to realize that it was a wake-up call. Almost about 7 months ago when I started my traveling, that's when it hit me. Sorry, I'm driving. So when I tell you guys that I've had a shitty life and I've dealt a shitty life, and what I'm about to tell you guys has everything to do with why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. So, 3 years old was the first time that I was taken away from my mom. Let me start off by telling you guys I never knew my dad. It was just me and my mom. So 3 years old was the first time that I was taken away from my mom. And then from 3 until I was 17, I was in and out of state's custody, group homes, foster homes, just in and out, in and out, in and out. Obviously, a lot of group homes and foster homes are horrible places. Very horrible places. So pretty much almost every one of them I ran away from. And so I had to go to juvenile a lot of times because I was running away from all these foster homes and group homes that were horrible places. I can't even tell you how many times I went to juvenile. So like my mom was an alcoholic. She was a drug addict. She would try to clean herself up every once in a while. They let me go back home with her. But that didn't last very long, so then I was taken away again. Let's see, when I was one group home that I was in, you know, like the foster care and group home system when I grew up was just a shitty system. I hope to God that it's a better system now, but it was just a horrible system. Like, I was, I think, maybe 11, 12 years old at the time, and one group home had me sleeping in a crib. Like, it was that horrible. Then it was embarrassing going to school because the school bus would come pick me up in front of the group home. So then all the kids at school knew that I was a poor person and, you know, lived in these group homes and everything. So I got bullied and teased a lot and, you know, never really had a lot of friends or anything. It was pretty horrible. Now, when I say that I've been through almost everything a person could ever go through, I'm not even kidding when I say that. And that's why I've always wanted to just write a book and write down my stories in hopes that it would reach out to somebody and help somebody. But now I'm having a hard time typing out everything nowadays because I have carpal tunnel in my hands and it's getting a little bit worse. So now I'll just tell it on video. So when I say I've been through everything, I've been through everything. I was raped when I was 15 years old, and a lot of people don't know that because I was always embarrassed about it. I ran away from a group home, and when I ran away from a group home, I got in the bad part of neighborhood, and when I was in the bad part of neighborhood, I had two guys snatch me up and take me to a hotel. And, and I was raped. 15 years old. Afterwards, they left me in the hotel. So, I've had a rough life, and I always question why was I dealt this life that I was given. I could never understand why I was dealt the life that I was given. And I always tried to just hide everything that I went through and stuff because it was just so embarrassing, everything that I went through. Growing up in the group homes and the foster homes and being poor and, you know, just having a shitty life, period. I never had anything growing up. Nothing. 17 years old, the foster care system kind of got sick of me because, hey, I kept running away from everything. So they offered for me to sell myself out of state's custody and into my own custody. So I did that at 17. So at 17, I was on my own and supporting myself. school and everything, working at a fast food restaurant, because I was having to support myself. So then, let's see, because of everything that I've gone through and stuff, and just not having a lot of friends growing up and everything, I would always try to do anything possible that I could to try to fit in with anybody. I tried so hard. I just wanted to fit in with people and have friends or have some kind of family or something, you know. Like, I would just do anything to impress people. I was one of those people. I was a follower, not a leader. And I was a follower because I was just trying to fit in and, you know, hide my past and everything. And I've done that all my life. I've done that. So to skip everything after, you know, my teenage years and stuff like that, let's just skip to me moving to Vegas. You know, after dealing with everything with my mom and everything, I've always wanted to know my dad. I always wanted to get to know him and everything. So I hired a private investigator to find my father one time. And this private investigator, I had my dad's social security number, his name, all on my birth certificate. So it wasn't hard for this private investigator to find him. And the private investigator actually found him within 24 hours. So I had my dad's phone number, address, everything the private investigator sent me. I didn't want to call him because I didn't want to scare him. So I wrote him a letter. And I just wrote him a letter and basically just said, hey, I'm your daughter. I don't want anything from you. I don't want any back child support. I just want to get to know you. And he lived in Vegas. And so within a couple of days of him getting the letter, he actually called me. And when he called me, we just talked and talked on the phone for almost every day for a couple of weeks. And then I guess it was just time that I went out to Vegas to go meet my father that I had never met before. So I got on a plane and went out there and met my dad in Vegas for the first time. I was 30 years old meeting my dad for the first time. And as you all can probably tell, everything went well. It was great. I finally had a father in my life. Everything that my mom said about my father didn't seem to be true, of course. And let me tell you, I don't blame my mom for anything. I used to, but I don't now. My mom had an illness. She had a mental illness, and she also had an illness with drugs and alcohol. My mom was just sick. So I don't blame my mom for nothing. I blame the alcohol and the drugs and her mental illness that she had. So anyways, I went out there, met my dad, everything went well. I go back home to Georgia, and I knew that when I went back home to Georgia, I was never going to get to know my dad way over across the states, you know, by over the phone and, you know, so on forth. So 3 months later, I picked up and I moved out to Vegas so I could build a relationship with my dad and get to know him. And it was rough. The first year that I was in Vegas, I hated Vegas. I had a hard time making friends. And it was rough. And I kept telling myself, you're not going to leave because you're here to get to know your dad. And that's the only reason why I stayed, was because I was there to get to know my dad. But after the first year, I ended up liking it, and it got a little bit better. And then I started getting close to my dad and everything. I did get caught up into the gambling for a little bit, and the drinking. It is Vegas. I'm sure everybody that goes to Vegas is going to experience the gambling and the drinking and God knows what else, when they go there. So over the next 14 years, passed away 3 years ago. Over all the other years and stuff, I just grew a great relationship with my dad and everything, and coming to Vegas also, I kind of felt like, I was going to have a fresh start on everything. It was a fresh place to go to. I'm clear across on the other side of the United States from where I'm from and everything. So I'm going to come over to Vegas, and nobody's going to know about my past. Nobody's going to know about how I grew up, and so I came over there to Vegas and started meeting people and making friends, and I'm not saying that I lied to these people, but I made it sound like I had a good life in Georgia, because I was embarrassed to let everyone know how my life really was, everything that I had been through. And so I've always thought that maybe if people didn't know that I grew up poor, and I grew up in these foster homes and group homes, and that I went through all this stuff, and people would like me more if they knew that I was just a normal person and had a normal life and everything. So I always hid everything from everyone, and that's mentally exhausting. It really is mentally exhausting. And so I got to the point where I would just start blocking my past out from my head. I literally would just start blocking everything. And I did pretty good at blocking everything out of my head, where I forgot about my past. There were some things that I couldn't remember. And to this day, there's still some things I can't remember. I can't tell you a lot of stuff about going through school and everything, because I've learned to block all this stuff out. Some of the stuff has been slowly coming back to my memory and coming back to my head now, because I'm trying to do a self-help thing with me, and I feel like I need to address my past and everything. So I've been trying to deal with my past and stuff. So back to my dad's situation, my dad got really sick, and he ended up being diagnosed with the early stages of dementia. The last straw was when he was found he used to have an apartment, and he was found passed out inside of his closet in his apartment, in his bedroom. He didn't know how he got in there, nothing. Thank goodness his downstairs neighbor heard a big thump, and they knew that, my dad was an older person that lived above him. And so they actually called the police because they thought something was wrong. So that was the last straw right there. So when he was in the hospital from that time right there, I knew I couldn't let him go back home. So me and my boyfriend at the time, my ex now, we actually went to his apartment and packed up everything, put majority of it in storage, and basically moved my dad into my house and told my dad, sorry, but you're coming to live with me now. You can't live on your own anymore. That was a very hard thing for my dad, extremely hard thing, to know that he couldn't take care of himself anymore completely. I mean, that's got to be a hard thing for anybody. So he had a hard time dealing with that, and I took away a lot of stuff, I had a small house, so in here I was moving my dad in, and so I couldn't move all this stuff stuff in, so I had to put a lot of his stuff into storage. And I know he was really upset with, having to lose a lot of his stuff. And then we had to give up his truck because he just couldn't drive his truck anymore. He just couldn't drive, period, anymore. So he had to give up his truck, and he loved his truck. And then when he moved into my house, he had 2 guns. And I'd already felt bad for taking everything else away from him and him having to give up his truck and everything. And he loved his guns. And so I tried to take his guns away from him. And that was a big fight with us. Big fight. And so I finally came to a deal with him that he could keep his guns as long as he gave me all his bullets. And I had a safe in my bedroom. So, sorry, I ran over something. So, he gave me all his bullets. And I put them in my safe. Now, I don't know too much about guns. I've never shot a gun. I don't even think I've ever held a gun. So I don't know anything about guns. I never knew that there could be a gun in the chamber. And he had a gun. He had a bullet in the chamber in both of his guns. So that's how that happened. And then when I came home, it was just for 2 years, I took care of my dad. It was his dementia, it was just gradually getting worse. And yeah. So sometimes he'd leave the oven on, the stove on. He'd leave the refrigerator door open. It's just, sometimes he would flip out on me. He'd be really mean at me and stuff. Because if you look up, if you're not familiar with dementia, if you look it up, they go through mood swings. And they can be very mean with those mood swings. And having to deal with that was a lot on me. But I never wanted to put him in a home. I just couldn't see myself doing that. Try not to cry. I should have put him in a home when I saw it getting a little worse. So one day, one night, I came home from work and he was flipping out about his TV not working in his bedroom. And I just walked in the door from work and I just wanted to go change, get out of my work clothes. I guess he wanted me to fix his TV right away. Walking in his bedroom door to go fix his TV for him. That's when he shot himself in front of me. So, out of all the out of all the things in my life that I've been through growing up, all the rough times that I've gone through, that's definitely the worst thing in my life I've ever had to deal with. people. I didn't want to leave my house. My best friend Jeff was going through pancreatic cancer, and he was dying. And by the way, is my best friend Jeff, even though he was going through that, after that happened with my dad, he opened up his house to me and my dog, and I actually went and stayed with Jeff at his house, because obviously I couldn't be in that house where me and my dad lived at anymore. I never stayed in that house ever again after that night. So me and my dog went to Jeff's house, and even though Jeff was going through what he was going through, he put all of his issues aside to be there for me because of what happened. And I know what happened was a hard thing, but what was going on with Jeff, with him knowing that he didn't have too much longer to live, I think that's a little bit worse than what I was going through. But that's how my best friend was. He was never selfish. So it was a hard time. You know, I finally ended up getting a little apartment. Moving out at Jeff's house. I didn't want to be a burden on him and stuff. I was still going through depression and everything. After I moved into my apartment. So then my wifey, Kimmy, and she passed away. Happened to get to the hospital actually as she was taking her last breath. Still dealing with my dad's situation when that happened. So that crushed me. And then I fell into a deep depression. Deeper. And only very few people know this because I was embarrassed about this right here also. I was so depressed after my dad and Kimmy and having to deal with so much. I couldn't deal with it anymore. And so I sat down at my dining room table one day and I had a bunch of pills and I wrote out basically a will of who would get my dog and what close friends were going to come into my apartment and get what they wanted to and sell the rest. And I basically just wrote out a whole entire will. And I just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it no more. I just went through that with my dad and went through it with Kimmy. And then I knew I was about to deal with it with Jeff. So, I don't smoke weed, but I do eat edibles. Weed has always affected me differently. That's why I just eat edibles. But I had some weed that night, and the plan was I was going to smoke a bunch of weed and then take the pills because it would just knock me out. I smoked the weed before I took the pills, thank goodness. And I passed out because I was too high off the weed before I could even take the pills. So the next morning I wake up, and when I wake up, I have a whole bunch of messages from Jeff because Jeff has been texting me and calling me for days, and I just wasn't returning anybody's phone calls or text messages. And so he was concerned, and the last text message that he had sent me was, if you do not call me, I'm going to have my dad take me over to your house. And so I called him. And so when I called him, I told Jeff what I did. And me come straight to his house, and I did. And he didn't tell anybody what I did. But I stayed over there for a couple of days. And Jeff pulled me out of my funk. He really pulled me out of my funk. And I had to like really just look at Jeff and just be like, you have a death sentence on you, and you're passing away right now, and you know it, and you can still keep a smile on your face. Through all this. Jeff pulled me out of my phone. Shortly after, Jeff passed away. When Jeff passed away, his funeral was over, we were all going back to his house to go hang out, and his mom wanted me to take his ashes in the Jeep with me. So it was just me. I had Jeff's ashes in my passenger seat, and it was just me and Jeff. Driving to Jeff's house with his ashes in the passenger seat next to me. Sorry. I made a promise to Jeff. I talked to him with him in the passenger seat. I made a promise to Jeff that I would never, ever, ever let my depression take over me ever again. I've already been through the worst part of my life. Nothing else can top what I've been through. I told Jeff that if he could keep a smile on his face at all times, including when he passed away. When he passed away and was laying in that bed, passed away, he had a smile on his face. And the ambulance and the police officers came, they all said something about that. They were like, we've never seen anybody laying there with a smile on their face. We're like, oh, that's just the way Jeff was. So I told Jeff that he was an inspiration to me, because he knew that he had a death sentence. He knew that he was given less than a year to live. And even those last few weeks, he knew that he was dying. And he didn't tell anybody. I knew. And he just always kept a smile on his face. So I told Jeff that he will always be my inspiration for the rest of my life. And that if I ever get depressed, because I'm always going to deal with depression my whole entire life, that I will just look at a picture of Jeff and let him inspire me and put a smile on my face. So I keep pictures of Jeff everywhere that I go, just for that reason. I have a picture of him on my dashboard. So, here, so you guys can see him, Jeff. So, yeah. So after losing Jeff, that's when I started to have the wake-up calls, sort of. I knew that I needed to do something to deal with everything that I had just been through. You know, like I literally was just keeping myself busy with working and working and working or whatever, you know, like I would block everything, because I'm good at blocking things out of my head. I'm a master at that. And so I would just block everything out of my head, and I just wouldn't think about it. Every once in a while I would have my moments, but then I would just block it all out of my head again. So I never would deal with everything that happened. And then, as you guys all know, the reason, you know, I met the girl Taylor in Sedona, and she kind of went through a similar thing, and she told me about her traveling. And so I started doing a lot of research and decided I wanted to travel and everything also, and that this would be my way of dealing with things and hopefully making my life better. And so that's why I started planning everything and quit my job of 10 years that I had as a general manager. Great job I had. I just quit it to be homeless and go travel. So the day that I started traveling, when I left Vegas towing my trailer, I told myself, this is a new beginning. This is a new life for me, and I need to make this a good life, because my whole entire life has been shitty. It's been shitty. I've never truly been me, because I've hidden my life from people. I told myself that day that this new journey that I was taking was going to be exactly that. A new journey, a new life, a new beginning. And it was time to be Sarah. Be me. And who cares what people think? So I'm skipping out a lot of stuff in my life, but, you know, eventually I'll get there, you know. Maybe one day I'll meet somebody that'll type it all out for me so I can do the book. I can't do it anymore. So yeah, so on this new journey that I'm doing, I have started a YouTube channel. I have been trying to build my following up on social media. I have recently started a Patreon, and yes, it's a page where people have to subscribe and pay a monthly subscription to see my videos. You only have to pay $5 a month to see my videos. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, can't believe she's asking for money now. Well, let me tell you, this is why I'm just making this video right here and sharing a little bit of my life with you guys. I've had a shitty life. I've been dealt a shitty life my whole entire life. It is time for me at 44 years old to enjoy life and to have a good life. And that's what I'm trying to do now. subscribe, a monthly subscription. Sorry, little one, not when Mama's driving through the mountains. She knows I'm upset, so she's trying to be there for Mama. But I know a lot of y'all are questioning the Patreon page and what I'm doing with the YouTube and everything. But like I said, I've had a shitty life. I'm trying to have a good one now. And after 44 years of having a shitty life, I think I deserve to have a good life now and to make myself happy. And the way that I enjoy life and the things that make me happy is being in Mother Nature and hiking and off-roading and exploring and, you know, doing these adventures. It makes me freaking happy. So yeah, I'm trying to make money off my social media, so I'm able to do this more. And you guys can think that's greedy or whatever. I don't care if you guys think it's greedy, because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, it used to bother me that everybody that has supported me since I've started this social media stuff, majority of my support has been from complete strangers. Complete strangers. My friends, yeah, you guys don't even like text me or call me, nothing to say hi, let alone show the support with social media. And that's why I'm sharing why I'm doing it with you guys, because you guys might think that I'm greedy. Think it. I don't care. I only care what I think about myself. I only care what this little one thinks about me right here. I only care what my aunt thinks about me. She's my best friend. She's been my #1 supporter pretty much my whole life. So yeah, I'm so thankful for these complete strangers that have supported me through my social media and everything. I think it's pretty sad though that no actual friends have done it. And I know the reason why you guys haven't done it is because you guys are thinking that I'm just holding my hand out and asking you guys to support my adventures and everything. I gave up my job of 10 years to go travel, and now I'm asking you guys to pay for my gas money and pay for my adventures and so on forth. Do you guys know that doing the social media, it's a job? It is a second job to me. But you know what? I'm also continuing to work. And I'm working, not making a lot of money. I am just now getting by being able to pay my little bit of bills that I have with this job that I'm working at in Tacopa. So yeah, that's why I have my social media and the YouTube and the Patreon and everything. So I wanted you guys to know, I'm not sitting here holding my hand out asking y'all to give me money. You guys, I'm giving you guys videos and stuff. I'm sharing my life with you guys. Literally. And now you guys know why I'm doing it. 44 years old, it's about time for me to have a good life. It's about time for me to not have a shitty life and to enjoy life and to do stuff that makes me happy. 44 years, I haven't done that. and let you guys know why I'm doing the Patreon and the whole social media stuff and everything, because I want to be able to have a happy life one day, and I'm working on that right now. And it sucks that I gotta do that at 44 years old. Yeah, I'm 44. But I am determined now. So, you guys think that whatever you want to think. For the ones that have supported me, I really do appreciate all the support. The complete strangers that have completely supported me means the world to me. It really does, because you guys have supported me more than any of these actual friends have, and that's just amazing to have complete strangers like this. I mean, these complete strangers even send me emails, guys. I can't even get a text message or a phone call from these friends. So, there's a little bit about me right there. Kind of feels a little good to get it all off my chest a little bit. And you guys can think whatever you want to think about me. If you have any questions, send me an email. If you have my phone number, text me. And I'm going to get off now. I think I'm 2.5 hours away, so. So yeah, glad I got this off my chest. Talk to y'all soon.